Don't you worry, the clip's about to begin, but don't forget to subscribe. Or else, don't make me turn this website around.
Then we will start with Chelsea.
Atheist.
Hi, Chelsea. How are you doing today?
Oh,
What would you
so
like to
you
talk
took my
about?
call and
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize that you were still talking to the screener. I jumped the gun. Chelsea. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. You looked interesting. I wanted to talk to you. What would you like to talk about today? Can you hear me, Chelsea?
I think we need to bring Chelsea back in, maybe?
Oh, did Chelsea pop back out? Oh, okay. I'll pull her back. Chelsea, you're back again.
Can you hear me
Hi.
now?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. What would you like to talk about today, bud?
Hey.
By the way, I love both y'all's channels. So
thank
informative and so entertaining.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I wanted to talk about like boundaries. I've already set a boundary because I'm not the best at setting boundaries and all that. So
Okay.
I've set a boundary with my brother.
Okay.
He knows I'm trans, by the way. I'm that thin caller from the Transatlantic show.
Okay.
Misinformation kind of thing from the first
Mhm.
show. But anyway, he knows I'm trans. I've already transitioned for the most part. Had surgery and all that, but
Okay.
he refuses to use my name and pronouns.
I'm sorry.
But do what?
I said I'm sorry. I'm sorry that's happening to you.
I didn't hear that. Yeah. But I'm so close to getting over this. And I wanted to call in just so I can say case closed and be done with them.
Okay.
But like, what would be your next steps since he's already crossed that boundary in line and all that? What would be the next step now? I haven't responded to his text because basically what he was saying was, you're an embarrassment to the family and Daddy would not approve of this, because my dad passed away. I don't know if you knew that, but yeah, he did. I love my dad, but I think my brother is a different story.
Okay.
We've always been had a rocky situation with him. Go ahead.
So you need to make sure that any relationship that you have is beneficial to you and the person that's in it. Like relationships are reciprocal, right? So both people should be getting something from the relationship. And if the only thing that you're getting from the relationship is a sense of dread or anxiety or that this person is being disrespectful to you and they're not respecting boundaries that you've attempted to clearly set, if they're continuously crossing those lines, the next step to me would be entirely dependent on whether or not you wanted to leave a door open for a future relationship or if you wanted to fully separate. So it would be dependent on that. I generally opt for leaving doors open with an eye towards the idea that somebody could have potential for future change. And I essentially lay out what my boundaries are. So I will say, like, our relationship is going to be contingent on the X amount of things, like this thing, this thing, this thing, and this thing. If you can't respect X, Y, and Z that I've just laid out for you, I will not be continuing the relationship until you demonstrate that you've learned how to respect those things. That way you're not
right. I did that.
Okay, yeah. and he's continuously not respecting those boundaries?
Yeah, it just happened tonight. Like, I finally got a response from him tonight after I sent it yesterday. Mm-hmm. And I'm so close to getting over this, and I'm so ready to get over it. So that's why I'm kind of calling in so I can, what's the next step? Do I respond or what do I do or say?
That's entirely going to be up to you. All I can tell you is what I would do in a similar situation. What I would do was respond just to say, please no longer respond to me unless the responses that you're sending to me or do not contact me further unless those responses are in line with the boundaries I've already established with you. You've demonstrated to me that you're not willing to respect the boundaries that I've set for our relationship and respect for me. And until you demonstrate otherwise, you need to consider our relationship severed for my own health. If you care about me as you say you do, you'll respect that. And then I would cut ties. I would mute. I would, whatever I need to do to remove myself from abuse. I don't know. Do you have any differing opinions, Zod?
No, I think about the same thing. One thing that I would keep in mind in this situation is that I think this is probably clear to you, but every time he chooses to use a name or a pronoun or whatever other than what you've requested, he knows exactly what he's doing. There's no mistake here, right?
Yeah, it's malicious.
So,
sure, and based on his
yeah,
religion.
in these. So I think it's important for you in realizing that you don't need to feel guilty about this, and in understanding what's actually happening here, that you're really not severing a relationship, in my mind, or at least not a healthy one. If he's coming to you and every time he interacts with you, choosing to identify you in a way that you've requested not to, he's bringing a willful act of belligerence to that conversation. And so just as much as if he showed up at your house swearing at you or, defaced your house or something, he's choosing in each interaction to actively disrespect you. And so I think it is definitely, I agree that you need to, I would leave the door open as well. Say this is what I need. This is what I hear when you're speaking to me this way. As long as you're going to do this, I need to not hear from you until you're ready to come to me, being willing to show respect. And I think that is really important because you can't.
He's accused me of the same thing. He's accused me of the same thing, not showing him respect. But I think that's a lot of bullshit right there that he's just throwing back at me.
In what context?
Yeah,
why existing isn't showing him respect? Is that what he's attempting to say? That you existing as yourself is not
not respecting his beliefs and not respecting him for. I mean, like.
You don't need to respect his beliefs. His beliefs are not him. He's disrespecting you. And his beliefs are the cause of him disrespecting you. He has a belief that's incongruent with respecting you. Yeah, you not agreeing with a belief that says that you are not a valid human being as you exist now is not disrespecting him. Mm-hmm. His belief is disrespectful to you, and he's affiliating that belief with his identity. You are not disrespecting him because you will not let him abuse you or tell you that you are not valid. That is a trick abusers use in order to allow you or convince you that you should allow them to continue to abuse you. Then
I'm glad
don't let that happen to you.
I have a family member. Yeah, I have a family member that I've talked to about this a while back ago.
Mm-hmm.
They mentioned my brother and asked how are things because they knew things were very, very extremely rocky between us, and, transitioning and stuff. But anyway, I better slow down because I'm starting to lose my train of thought.
Okay, take your time.
How about this? To help me out, what did you last mention?
I mentioned a lot of things regarding beliefs and their conflation with identity, and how abusers use conflation of beliefs with identity in order to
abusing. She mentioned that he's potentially feeding off of this. He's gaslighting me and stuff like that.
Very likely.
I wasn't sure at first because I've been gaslit for so long.
Mm-hmm.
But now I think I need to just cut ties with him. So I'm happy about this in a way. Sad that it has to be my brother, but hey, I mean, if it helps,
love yourself.
Be happy.
The only person you owe
right.
love to is yourself. You do not owe him love or your presence. You don't owe that to anybody. And if he's demanding it, and if sorry, I just want to finish this thought, and then I said, if he's demanding your presence, and that demand is contingent on him being abusive towards you, that's unacceptable. You don't have to do that. Maybe he'll smarten up.
I'm not the. As I guess, go ahead. Yeah, as I've stated before, I'm not the best at setting boundaries, but I think I'm finally starting to get the hang of it after this one.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to see where this goes in a way, you know.
Good.
Seeing how long I can keep this up, you know, with like cutting them out, because I don't need this.
I'm happy to hear that you're standing up for yourself. Do we have to let you go soon? I'm sorry, I did interrupt you, Zod. I wanted to get my thought out. Sorry.
Oh, you're fine. No,
sorry.
I would just to be, I don't want to dig too far into nitpicky details, but I think this is some of what they try to use against you. Is there anything specific at all that he said that you're doing that disrespects him? Like, I think it's important to get down.
Oh no,
like
because he's just thinking. I think his thought process. Go ahead. Let you finish.
No, you go ahead.
Yeah, what's his thought process?
Okay. His thought process. I think his thought process is because I'm not letting him. I mean, his thought process is to not use any pronouns in any name and just shame me in other ways. Still, they slip and say my dead pronouns, but they don't say any name. If they wanted my attention, if he wanted my attention, he would just say, "Hey," and "Hello, I'm talking to you." You know, that kind of thing. I think that's very disrespectful in itself. And so I've finally had enough of it. And
he thinks that
if I'm disrespecting him, no, I'm not. I haven't done anything to him. I've allowed him to worship his God, and I haven't done anything to him.
Yeah, so is he essentially just thinking then, if you're reading between the lines a little bit, just that by you being yourself and identifying as who you are and wanting other people to identify you that way, is that what he considers disrespect?
I think so.
Okay.
And it sounds like you're also saying that he's not willing to use your actual pronouns. So instead of that, he's opting, his idea of a compromise is to use no pronouns at all, which is essentially just like, that's the same as using incorrect pronouns, because it's a refusal to acknowledge correct pronouns and saying, and then going to the person that's saying, this is who I am, these are my pronouns, and saying, I won't use those, but this is a compromise. I'm willing to, you should thank me for willing to make this concession and give me some respect for even being willing to make a concession at all to show you any respect. And how dare you not acknowledge that I've even made this concession? How dare you? I made a concession. This is a compromise. So yeah, I dislike that.
It sounds a little bit to me also like, if you're not going to identify as what I think you should identify as, then you're not anything.
Yeah,
and I'm not going to call you anything. It's almost like a form of shunning. It sounds like it's kind of like shunning you in your own presence.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a good point.
Yeah, and I feel that way. I feel it in his presence. Like when I'm around him with other family members, at family gatherings, for instance, which is the only time I would ever see him, and ever want to see him anyway, and for that matter. Well, I don't want to see him at all, but you know what I mean. I just feel that, you know, I feel like anxiety just being around him.
Yeah, healthy relationships don't cause innate anxiety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's one little trick here, I think, in what he's doing to you, which is, I think a lot of fundamentalists feel they're entitled to this as well, that they feel like it's a compromise between you wanting to be identified one way and them having the right to identify anybody however they want. And it's almost like it's the classic thing where they feel like if they can't stake out all the territory for themselves, then other people are being intolerant of their intolerance or something like that. Like they think you, by trying to be identified a certain way, are demanding something of him in the conversation, just as he might be demanding something of you by wanting to use dead pronouns or dead names. And that's flatly not true. Neither of you get to come to the conversation and claim that you can import your beliefs into that to the point of being able to identify them in a derogatory way. Like if he's a Christian, you're not going to walk into the conversation and every time you refer to him or his religion, call him a sky daddy worshiper or something like that. And so, I mean,
Right.
that's literally about what he's expecting. And you can't say, well, you need to respect my beliefs that your religion is silly and let me call you this thing. And so I think it's clear to understand when he tries to play this little game where you need to show the respect to his religion that he can call you whatever he wants. He's asking, that's really fake and disingenuous and bullying. And he's expecting something, he's expecting you to kowtow to that in a way that he would never do to you and that he would find insulting, and rightfully so. And so I don't know if that helps at all for your ability to respect yourself and understand what he's doing in these conversations, but that's totally not okay. He's making really onerous demands and disrespectful demands of you to either be called something you don't want to be called or ignored and kind of called like you're a dog in front of everybody. Hey, here, come here. And I think it's really important. Yeah, go ahead. I've talked a lot. Go ahead.
Okay, I just feel like that's very degrading the way he does. Like, hello, I'm talking to you. Come here.
Yeah.
That it's just degrading.
And I don't mean to belabor some of the details on this, but I think it's important for you to hear from other people that it's not okay and that there are a lot of things in here that people like him try to get you accustomed to. And I think it's important that you know that that's absolutely not okay. And draw that.
Quick. Yeah, I like to mention, sorry, not to interrupt, but I kind of want to, because I know you got a lot of callers, I imagine.
We do have a few.
I have, do what?
We have a few. Go ahead, though. Doesn't matter. We want to hear what you have to say. Go ahead, Chelsea.
Okay. Shoot. What was it? I have family members. I have other family members. They respect me and that my pronouns and my preferred name. But they're kind of on the fence. They hop back and forth between my brother and me, trying to play both sides. But I think that's the only reason they do that is because my brother and my family, the rest of my family, is the same religion, which is Christianity, by the way.
The shock is overwhelming.
But all the other... the shock is overwhelming?
What? Is it? Yeah. That makes sense, though, to Chelsea, because it sounds to me as though your brother is doing probably the same sorts of things to them that he's doing to you, and making it very apparent that he's dug his heels in, which is causing difficulty and conflict and interactions when it comes to respecting you, which is what it comes to. It comes to respecting you. So other family members, when they're in one-on-one dialogues with him, especially if they both share a belief system, may fall back upon that sort of, especially if he's pushing it constantly for the sake of avoiding conflict. People can sometimes be shitty for the sake of avoiding conflict. They may be doing that overtly and directly to your face, respecting you. And that could be a demonstration that they're trying, but just keep an eye towards it, because somebody just performatively doing it for the sake of potentially placating you isn't the same as respecting you. That's acting like they respect you to, again, potentially avoid conflict, not an actual act of understanding and respect. So keep an eye towards it. I don't know your
Yeah.
family, but that's just something to be conscientious of.
Yeah, because I do have two family members specifically that were immediately supportive of me, even though they disagree. I don't know about one of them. I know one of them disagrees with me being trans, but they also are on board as far as my happiness goes, and so they've immediately jumped on board with me and went with me on this journey and respected me from the get-go. So, and those two people are the people that I talk to the most, and those two people, when I talk to them about issues I'm having with my brother, those two people are the ones that are jumping back and forth.
Oh, I see.
So I find it kind of disheartening that it's like that, because I really wanted to work out between those two family members, and really all the family members I got.
Have you done the same sort of boundary setting with them with regards to respecting you, not just in conversations with you, but respecting you when being referred to everywhere?
I've told them that they do respect my boundaries as far as that goes. But when I talk about my brother, when I talk about my brother, they seem to take his side in a way, just a very vague way, because religion is the same. They share the same religion. So
that's a hard road to hoe, because that's deconstructing that is more than about just respect for a person that you love. Deconstructing that is sometimes a lifelong endeavor. But I don't know them, but based on what you're saying, it sounds like they're willing to take steps in that direction out of love and respect for you. And that is potentially a good indication. But like I said, you do need to boundary set. If you feel like they're disrespecting you elsewhere and just performatively respecting you to your face to retain a relationship, that's perpetuating disrespect for you outside of one-on-one interactions. That's saying, I'll respect you based on these specific set of circumstances, but outside the specific set of circumstances, when I'm not held specifically accountable, I don't need to adhere to that respect. And thus, I make the choice not to. Because if there's not something that's causing me to adhere to it, then I'm unimpeded and I can act as though I would act otherwise, which is a bit of a warning sign to me.
Okay.
And I could see another dynamic as well, and I see this play out in social media interactions, which for me it's just that I'm a non-believer, but I see some forms of Christians who are very aggressive and want to come at you and be disrespectful, and then there are a lot who think that's not okay and will kind of stick up for you. But you can tell they're a little bit torn, because this puts them at odds with what they want to believe, and I think they have the human decency to understand that how he's acting toward you is wrong and to want to show you some basic respect and decency. This could be the case with some of them, but then also that feels like it's bringing up questions about their religion or compromising on their religion, and so their more conscious sense of empathy or feeling of what they should do, a more visceral feeling of how they should behave, might make them sympathetic toward you. But then when that starts to bump up against their religious beliefs, they might start wanting to side with him. And so it's this weird internal struggle between what they want to believe and they don't want to tell themselves that that's tucked away as some kind of archaic, religious thing in their mind. But they also want to be nice to you. And I wouldn't put it in, it could be that for some of them that they just want to, it's just performative and they just want to do the right thing in front of you and no one else is there. But it can depend a lot on the person. So I think it's true. You definitely need to take care of yourself first and set boundaries first, but then depending on how much you want to maintain certain relationships, I think it's important to understand that there could be a lot going on in their heads when they're interacting with you these ways.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I hope some of that helped. We do need to let you go to other callers. Thank you for calling. This was, I hope that some of this was.
Nice to meet you, Shannon.
It was so nice to meet you too, Chelsea. Thank you very much for calling in, and I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope that all of this works out for you. I'm rooting for you, okay?
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Oh, by the way, I love your geese goose thing on atheist. That was cute.
I don't pick those. Those are chosen for me. Thank you very much. Have a good rest of the day, Chelsea.
All right,
Bye.
have a good one.
You too. Bye. All right. Oh, so sweet. I hope that works out. And also, like, I hope her brother smartens the fuck up. Like, God damn it. Like, how hard is it to be nice to your goddamn sister? Jesus Christ.
Hey, thanks for checking out this clip for The Line. While you're here, hit that like button, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and then share this with that bitter uncle of yours who loves talking about the good old days.